Hello and welcome to this week's video. My name is Anuska Taylor. It's so great to have you here. Today we're talking about vocal image and is your voice hindering you or serving you? So that's going to be the topic for today. Before I get into that, if you haven't yet subscribed, and I know about 85% of you haven't, please do hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing, but it means so much to me to get my videos out to more people. And as always, if you enjoy my videos, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and ask me a question as well. I love hearing from you. If you are looking for any support, I have many ways I can provide support for you online, private coaching. I also have a new service, Digital Voice Coach, which is where you can send me a 90-second recording of your voice, and I will provide you with a personalized video back to give you some feedback, give you some tips and tools and techniques to enhance and optimize your voice. So that's a new service. The link is below. That really actually was born from a lot of the comments I do get on some of my videos where people are asking me specific questions about their voice. And I always answer the same. I can't help you unless I hear you. So you can ask me broad questions, very happy to answer that. But if you want specific questions about your voice, this is what this service is really about. It's £50, you get a personalized video, and I'm just really going to give you some tips and tools and feedback on what I'm hearing and what I would suggest you do to kind of move forward, to move towards your goal. So check that out below at the link below. It's called Digital Voice Coach. So today we're talking about vocal image, and it's interesting because in the world we live in today, we're obsessed with our physical appearance. And, I think the rise of social media hasn't helped with all the filters, and we don't even know what people really look like anymore until we see them in person, because we can put backgrounds and filters and lighting and like, what do people really look like? So we do live in that kind of world. And I also think in certainly the last 10 years, I think generally speaking, we're more mindful of our health. People are certainly their mental health, more aware of their physical body, more likely to go to the gym, perhaps more likely to go for a run, do some sort of physical exercise, which is great. So I would say that for most of us, we are willing to put some kind of time, commitment, money, resources into our physical appearance, whether it's a gym membership, whether it's buying ourselves some new clothes, whether it's putting on some makeup, whether it's getting our nails done, or whether it's more extreme, whether it's Botox or plastic surgery, etc. But why do we not put the same care and attention into our voice? Because probably for most of you, you will never really give your voice any attention in your lifetime. You might think about it, but are you willing to actually take any steps to really maximize, enhance, and optimize your voice? Well, before I get into more about what I mean by vocal image, just my thoughts on this. So physical appearance for me really feeds the ego. It very rarely, and it can do, and I'm not saying it never does, but for a lot of us, when we focus on the surface physical appearance stuff, we don't really have to go within, we don't have to go that deep. I go and buy myself a new jumper, I feel great, put some makeup on, feel good, get my hair done, feel good. I haven't really changed within. It's all external, it's all surface change, which in the moment makes the ego feel great. Now, I know that if you're on a bigger kind of weight loss journey, or you're on a bigger sort of journey of perhaps changing your body, this might be different. But here I'm talking about more of the surface changes that a lot of us are willing to do. And let's be honest, a lot of us are willing to spend money on those things. But when it comes to our voice, certainly the way I coach voice, this is a deep journey. This is not about quick tips. And I say this all the time, just doing one exercise or a couple of exercises for your voice is not really going to change anything, because fundamentally it's an internal shift, because your mind drives your voice. So whatever's going on internally at the deepest unconscious level is going to be reflected in your voice. And that's why I think most people don't do it, because they know on some level it's going to require more time, more effort. Whereas you get the quick wins with the physical appearance stuff, And even with the gym, like, and I go to the gym and I like to keep fit. So this is not to say don't do it and it's not important. It's just looking at what's driving it. But we do get quick wins. We go to the gym, the endorphins are flowing, we feel good. And so it's all keeping the ego happy. When we work on the voice, it challenges our identity. It challenges everything we thought we knew about ourselves. Because my philosophy with the voice, as you probably know if you watch my videos, is your current vocal habits are created normally unconsciously, maybe consciously, to keep you safe, to help you fit in, to help you survive. So if you go to create change, and by change, I mean, we're not changing you at your core, we're actually reclaiming you at your core. The ego is about changing you, but the true self is always there. And so my work is really revealing your true voice, versus most of our vocal habits are about covering the true voice as a way of protecting ourselves, as a way of us emotionally feeling safe. Now, we obviously have good reason as children for doing this, but as adults, we can start to create new patterns and new habits with a new understanding of ourselves. And actually, we don't need to buy into those stories that we once adopted as children. So let's talk about vocal image first of all. What is it? What do I mean by that? It's really the impression or perception our voice gives to the world. The voice gives to the people around us, the people that we meet, peers, colleagues, friends, family. And this could be pitch, pace, volume, dynamics, expression, clarity, fill in the blank, anything that kind of gives your voice its sort of unique sound. Now, obviously, this is subjective to a certain extent, but I think we can agree certain voice qualities elicit a certain emotional response or certain reaction from people. A lot of the time when we're hearing voices, we're not consciously making these decisions or judgments. It's all happening quite unconsciously. So we're making judgments very quickly when we hear someone speak. And particularly now, because we do a lot of things on Zoom, we do leave voice notes for people, even on videos. I mean, I know when I listen to videos on YouTube, I don't even watch the video, I listen to the video. And obviously podcasts are on the rise. So we're doing more and more where we're listening to voices versus looking at people. So the voice has actually become, I would argue, more important, certainly since COVID. So then these voice qualities, or this voice tone, or this voice image, is going to elicit a particular response from our audience, our peers, our colleagues, our friends. Do I trust this person? Do I like this person? Is this person vulnerable? Is this person powerful? Is this person authoritative? Is this person intellectual, educated? Is there an emotional intelligence in this person? Is there a warmth? Is there an openness? So we're reading all of this. It's all going on very, very unconsciously when we meet new people. And then we're making decisions. Do I want to do business with this person? Do I want to be in a relationship with this person, like romantic or platonic? We're making so many decisions about whether we like people, whether we want to be with people, whether we want to work with people based on their voice. And it's all happening so unconsciously, we don't even realize. And then we'll decide, actually, I don't really want to see that person again. But then the voice has, in some way, had an impact on us, has influenced us in some way. And particularly if it's a business call we're having, and we don't really think the person's voice is particularly authoritative or powerful, or we don't really respect them because their voice doesn't really exude that confidence, we're probably not going to work with them. So what messages is your voice sending? Now, as I said, it is subjective to a certain extent, but listen back, listen to a recording of yourself speaking, preferably where you're not trying to speak, where you're just listening to maybe a conversation that you've had, or a meeting you've been in, or a presentation you've given, and just start to kind of notice how your voice comes across. And often what happens is, because a lot of this is unconscious, our voice use, the voice that we have doesn't really match the person we identify with. So, for example, maybe we're a very strong, athletic, well-built individual, but we've got this kind of little squeaky high voice, for example. Or maybe our voice sounds quite aggressive and hard and almost quite defensive. But actually, we don't really feel like that person inside. Perhaps we feel like we're more vulnerable, but our voice is not expressing that vulnerability and that emotion. And so there's almost like a harshness, a hardness to our voice. And we're like, I don't really connect with the voice that I hear. Now, I'm not specifically talking here about accents because I believe all accents can be enhanced and optimized. And I say that because when an accent is extremely thick and heavy, it really isolates people from you. It's really only going to be the people in your community that are actually going to understand you. So I love accents. And for me, accents are to be embraced as long as other people can understand you. So it's more about just opening the voice actually and clarifying the voice versus trying to change an accent, because that's not really authentic. If you've got a Scottish accent and you're trying to sound like Kate Middleton, for example. So with all of this, there is no right or wrong. It's not about persona swapping. So it's not about, well, I've got this weak, quiet voice, so now I'm just going to do the complete opposite and start screaming and shouting at everyone. It's not that. It's more about what is authentic to you. And if you were unafraid to express yourself, and you might think I'm not afraid to express myself, but I can guarantee there will be things that you're avoiding, which is why your voice is the way it is. And that's what the shadow work is about. That's what my private coaching is really about, because your voice is not random. You have created these habits in some way, whether it's on the aggressive, loud, heavy end or the quiet, squeaky, high end, to protect you in some way. But the goal with the work is really for you to be free, for you to have true freedom of expression, not I have to speak like this because otherwise people will walk all over me. So I've got to sound aggressive, like the sort of barking dog, at the gate. The dog's actually really terrified, but actually it's just barking because it's more of a defensive bark, versus I am free to express myself. If I want to be authoritative, I can. If I want to be powerful, I can. But also, if I want to be vulnerable and emotional, I can. I don't see one or other as better or worse. I don't see as one is what I need to do to keep myself safe in the world, to protect myself in the world. So notice where you are. What do you think your voice is protecting you from? Because it's absolutely protecting you from something. A good place to start, and I talk about this a lot in other videos, is looking at your conditioning that you've had around your voice. So family, obviously hugely significant. Not only the accent that you probably have adopted has come from your family and your community, but just more in terms of the messaging you got around voice use, what you were meant to sound like or not meant to sound like, what you felt you had to do to be heard or not heard, because maybe in your family you didn't want to be heard, you wanted to hide. Or maybe in your family it was, a free-for-all, everyone's just screaming at each other to try and get their voice heard. So start to notice the conditioning around family. Media as well is huge. Media and society. The messaging we get in the media around what accents are cool, and you can't sound like that because people don't like posh people, but then you can't sound too rough because people don't like that either. It's, we get so much messaging around how we're meant to sound and what we're meant to do and meant to look, etc., etc. And you will drive yourself insane. So this is why you have got to find within yourself what is authentic for me, where I'm not defending, where my voice is open, where my voice is free, where I can clearly be understood by everyone, not just a small section of my town, where there's a freedom in expression. Also looking at peers as well. So a lot of the influence for us all growing up is our peers, our friends growing up. really powerful. I mean, just to give you a very quick example of this myself with accent, I grew up in the south of England, which many of you might be able to guess by my accent, but I actually studied in Leeds in the north of England. And in this country, for some weird reason, we have this kind of weird north-south divide thing. I'm not sure whether it still happens, but certainly when I was studying in Leeds, you know, I would be considered the posh southerner. And I remember feeling like I had to try and dumb down my poshness of my voice to try and fit in, which is insane. And now I don't care. But at the time, it was like, I have to start trying to sound a bit more like the people around me, which is crazy. So start to notice that. Have you been given messaging around your accent? I need to sound more posh. I need to sound less posh. Fill in the blank. And then, as I said, think about your current vocal habits. How are they serving you? How do they keep you safe? And more importantly, your current vocal habits, what do you avoid by holding on to them? Do you avoid vulnerability and being emotional? Or do you avoid being assertive and powerful? I'm giving you some examples here. You might, you might find your own, but where is your voice protecting you? As I say, the ultimate freedom and the whole point of the Jungian psychology work behind my coaching is it's not about persona swapping. It's not about going from a weak voice to a powerful voice and rejecting a weak voice or vice versa. This is about integration. This is about you becoming a whole person where you are not at war within yourself. You're not running away from half of yourself. You truly embrace all facets of yourself, all colors of yourself, all the lightness, the darkness, the richness, the fullness, etc. And that is the true power. That is the ultimate goal. And then you can show up from a really authentic place because you're not defending anything. You're not trying to avoid anything. You are just in your heart and expressing your truth. So I'll leave you with that. Now, if you are interested in this deeper sort of Jungian psychology approach to the voice, my new course, Free Your Mind, Free Your Voice on Udemy, I'll put the link below. That will give you very much a beginner's guide to this, I guess, and going a little bit deeper if this is new to you. But as I said, if you really want the transformation, private voice coaching is really the only path because it's a very challenging journey to do by yourself because your ego will resist it, guaranteed. Your ego has created your voice to keep you safe. So it is not going to want you to create new, more empowered vocal habits. So all the links are below, but thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Leave any comments, questions, and I will see you on next week's video.